Hey everyone, it's Brian, and welcome back to the More For Me and You podcast. Before we get into today's episode, make sure you go hit that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for future episodes, as well as revisit some of our previous ones. And if you haven't done so already, go check out our brand new YouTube channel where you can find our full episodes, as well as some clips and some shorts that are really fun. But as for today, we welcome in Niccolo Messina, who is the CEO and founder of a company called InsVrgence. And he has some wild takes on the film industry, as well as some really cool ways that independent filmmakers can get their films made by him, distributed by him, and even get placed on the places like Momi2. And we actually talk about some of those films that he's been able to bring onto the free streaming service: Stupid Games, Bittertooth, The Box. And we actually recap and do a little movie review on a film called Day Off that's also made by him. So stay tuned for this episode. It's going to be a fun one. And with that, we'll see you in the pod.
Yeah, that's right. You're tuning in to the More For Me and You podcast. That's real interviews, real movie reviews, real people, real journeys. If you real, lock in. I've been working all night, early in the morning. If you hustle high, hustle, you can never waste a moment. That's more for me and you. 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 Let's go.
Yeah, so we connected, and it was perfect timing because it was right after we had just had the first film festival, and all of a sudden I got this Italian guy telling me, I want to make low budget films with you, for you, and I'm like, who is this person, and who is this godsend? Because it's so perfect for what we do, right? We want to champion independent filmmakers with Momi2, and so for you to have that conversation right after we had just had the festival, it was perfect timing. And I think we had a talk. I was walking my dog late at night. It was, I think, maybe even almost raining. It was such a funny conversation because my dog was probably like, why are we still walking? And we talked for like an hour.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And so we had this idea that came out of a dinner with Ben Taylor that we wanted to do, and we wanted to partner with someone to help us make a short film into a feature film with the festival, right? So taking a college short film and turning it into a feature film. And so when you called and said, hey, I want to work on making features with you and for you, and I was like, what?
And then we had Stupid Games.
Before that, we met at the show for what is that? Off the market.
Off the market, yes. Yeah,
So
you're right.
I talked to the guys at Code 2 Media, and they invited me to the screening and said, oh, it's in Beverly Hills. I said, oh, I know someone that lives in Beverly Hills. And so I called you. I said, Niccolo, what are you doing tonight? You want to come to a movie in Beverly Hills? He said, what do you mean? And you didn't tell me you were busy. You're like, what do you mean? And I said, well, there's a movie in Beverly Hills that I want to go see. It's a screening for this film Off the Market. You're like, that's my movie. And so we end up sitting next to each other, and that's when you introduced me to your friends in Stupid Games. So you introduced me to Nicholas and
they
Danny.
were there.
Yep, they were there. And so the world works in mysterious ways, and I'm so happy that we were able to connect. But the stars aligned perfectly. Went from the festival to then you reaching out to us to Off the Market, meeting the friends at Stupid Games, and then of course doing the premiere with you was an incredible night. So
I think that the right alignment, it's about the fact that the industry is taking a step back on independent movies.
yeah,
Until 3 or 4 years ago, there were a lot of platforms
yeah,
giving a voice. We can mention, Tubi or others. And now we see this path of Hollywoodification of the platforms where you only have big movies, even from the past.
presented at least. Like there's still
Presented.
other movies, yeah,
Well, but
but you have to find them.
and that's the big problem. The
Yeah.
big problem is that marketing is useless in today's entertainment world. It's a long discussion, but that's the bottom line of my idea. Because we are facing quest for discoverability.
Yes.
And, you may say, oh my God, we have unlimited number of titles available. But the reality is that every platform, every single one you mentioned, are the smallest blockbuster you will ever seen in your life, because the actual shelf space is very limited.
Yeah.
For as much as you can browse, the options are very low. Now, when you even the algorithms and the suggestions, people click a movie, and the natural option they have on the remote is not to keep navigating through suggesting, is to go back.
Yeah.
And think about it, it's the only button you have on your remote. So you pick a movie, don't like it, remote, back. Now, when you go back, you are still in the same position. And what I love about Momito, and something that I really believe that other platforms should use, is your continuous refreshing of the homepage. If you open any other platform today, you can spend 20 minutes, and we made some studies. You're actually looking 100 movies, 150 movies. So these basically cut the legs to any hope to independent filmmakers. So Momito comes at the right opportunity, where I see the need of one or more platform, to start championing for real independent filmmaker. And it's an opportunity. Because what most of the big platforms do not understand, they're all offering the same content. Now, you can bet that you will have Wicked on Amazon, on Apple, on, whatever. So there is no differentiation. No?
Yeah. Do you know why it's different from Momito?
What do you mean?
So when you've searched on Momito, you look around and you see that our platform looks different than other places.
Completely different.
Yeah, all the time.
Every time.
It's because we do it by hand. We do not use algorithms on our platform.
Okay.
And so when we actually showcase content, when you go to the platform, it's the same as it looks like for myself. It's the same as it looks like for Craig here. Every person that comes to our platform uses it the same, not the same way, but sees it the same way.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that we get people involved in content that they never knew existed. They never may have clicked on, or maybe an algorithm would never have presented to them. But if they're into something specific, like horror or comedy, they can click on movies, go right to the genre section, and click horror. And then they're just amassed in a world of just horror.
Well, I think that in the future will be a middle way between handpicked content, but also a system that constantly refresh
Yeah.
the homepage. The problem is big platforms started paying insane license fees
Yeah.
for movies. Now they need to recoup. And so they're pushing the same movies over and over and over again. While I believe that the reason why some platforms get where they are today is actually because of independent movies.
Yeah.
Because when you have Wicked, or when you have, big movie,
Yeah.
okay, the company, the producers, the distributor, they sponsor the movie. And they leave the decision of where to watch the movie to the personal preferences of the user. There is little to none marketing directed to a platform. Where when you embrace the independent community, especially with strategies like the one we have developed with Bittertooth, with the box, with others, of exclusive release, now for every single independent movie, you have a massive amount of people that will market what's going on, that will say, we are on Momito, come to Momito. Now multiply this for 1,000 movies. I calculate that for every independent movie, there is at least 200 to 500 people.
Yeah.
Now you multiply for 1,000, now you get 500,000 people reached without marketing.
Yeah.
Just for, so.
But it takes that many movies at like a single time too. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're right. So we need a place to champion independent filmmakers, independent movies. And Hollywood needs to understand that.
Yeah.
I'm Italian, and the easiest comparison I can make is we didn't get to the World Cup. Why? because we didn't grow the next generations.
Mm.
If we do not look at the future,
Mm-hmm.
and it's already happening, Hollywood is losing its power. It's losing its relevancy. That's because Netflix made movies made all over the world. Like, okay,
Yeah.
they made dubbing, okay, which never happened in US. And we are not nurturing.
Nurturing. I'll be your translator too.
Yeah. We're not nurturing the next generations.
Mm-hmm.
We are not, we are giving them false hope.
Yeah.
We are giving them false stories. And we're not telling them the truth. So now you see a lot of these filmmakers dreaming for their $20 million, $30, $40 million movie
Yeah.
budget that they would never get.
Yeah. I talked to a filmmaker recently and I was like, hey, I could connect you with this guy, Niccolo. He would help you maybe make your first feature film. And I started talking about like numbers. And I said, this is why it's so important. You're a first time filmmaker, you know, you can hope for the best, of course, but you could take, maybe you hold off on your top story and you keep that in the file till later on. Do you have another film you want to make to show your talent? Make it for a small budget. And said, no, my first film is going to be a $3 million film. And I said, it's not.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen unless you raise the money yourself, unless you go out and take a loan, you know, take a second mortgage out, whatever, to raise that money and be smart about it, or have such a compelling story that you can convince someone to give you that money, and you find the right, more than likely stupid person to do it. It's very difficult to give to a first-time filmmaker.
Okay, so the point is, how do we face this industry?
Mm-hmm.
It is not technically impossible. It may happen.
Yeah.
But it also may happen that me and you today, we go out, we buy a lottery ticket, and we buy $400 million.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'll make a film. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
But it's a lottery. It's not an industry.
Yeah.
So if we say to the filmmakers, you know, your only hope is to win a lottery, and if we convince them, because this is what the environment is doing, they're convincing them that that's the path. But somebody should be realistic with these guys. Netflix, let's forget about Netflix. Let's say me. If somebody gives me $100 million, or they give you $100 million, but they say, you got to make one movie. Okay? You can only spend with one movie. Would you give that $100 million to a guy that never made anything?
Never.
And
you want a proven track record, of course.
Exactly.
And that's in any business. If you're going to bring on a VP of marketing or whatever, right? You want someone that has a proven track record before you give them a big paycheck.
And that's exactly what I say to filmmaker. I say, when you go out of business school, you don't go to damn Amazon saying, I want to be the CEO.
Yeah.
You know, you start from the ground.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. That's how you prove yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But they have been teached that this is how things should be.
Yeah.
So the problem is years and years of pre-concept, of false story, and no data. Because now you say, oh, I want to do a $3 million movie. Okay, perfect. Are you aware that you're not going to pre-sell anything? Are you aware that probably you can get an MG from a distributor that goes, in the best case scenario, between $40,000 to $100,000? Are you aware that it probably won't have any theatrical release? Let's forget about the 3 theaters, 5 theaters theatrical release, which are not. And so even if they make it, because they found an investor and they convinced them, because it happens, now they have to face the backlash of not being able to bring anything back to these investors, because the industry has changed.
Well, I mean, if the $3 million budget for a film, if you gave me $3 million, I'd probably try to make the film for $1 million and spend $2 million on marketing, because you have to get people to see the film, and that's the tough part. Is making the film is one thing, but getting people to see it is a whole nother thing.
And even there, I have my personal theory.
Yeah.
So when you go on the $3 million budget, yes, spend 1 for the movie, 2 for the marketing.
Yes.
do theatrical release, go to Regal, AMC, ask for an exclusive release, spend the money to bring people to the theaters, because that is the way to trigger a better positioning on the TVOD platforms.
Yeah.
Because it comes to positioning.
Mm-hmm.
If you, it's not making people go to the theater, rather making the environment aware of the movie. So in that case, I say yes. When it comes to smaller movies, anywhere between $50,000 to $250,000 budget, I believe that marketing is completely useless.
Yeah. You can't outspend someone that has a bigger budget anyway.
No.
So, yeah.
It
Totally
doesn't
agree.
make any sense.
And I think you and I, we see eye to eye on a lot of things, especially when it comes to independent filmmaking and what filmmakers should be spending and what they should be focusing on, and even the strategies on how to release things. And we can get into that a little bit. I want to know a little bit more about you, though. And I think this is something where some people don't get into who you are. You're such an intriguing person to me, and because we've had years of relationship now, and we get to have meals together, and we have some fun stories about those as well, which some we'll talk about, some we probably won't. But
also because my wife will watch this.
exactly, though we have two wives that we want to make sure we keep happy.
Yes.
So we have two men that are like boys when we get together. It's like we've grown up together, but we didn't. So, which I appreciate about you. But I want to know about first of all, where are you from? Like, I mean, obviously, people know you're from Italy, and they can hear you, and I have to translate your English Italian for sometimes for even for myself, and I have to say, what did you say, Niccolo? Hold on, what did you say? But tell us a little bit. Tell us, where in Italy are you from?
I'm from Rome. I grew up in Rome. Lived in Rome up to 28, 29. Then I moved to Turkey, to Istanbul. And funny enough, I've never been in entertainment. You know that. My background is in technology.
Yeah.
And what brought me to entertainment is actually the fun part. My job was to build probes that were installed inside the telecommunication networks that were studying what people were watching and how people were consuming internet. With not CIA style, was aggregate data, so I didn't know it. With a specific focus on how people consume videos. Because for telecommunication networks, usage of videos means bandwidth, and that means investment.
All that data is really important.
Exactly. So I was focused, of course, in the two major platforms, which was YouPorn and YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because that's the biggest usage.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Now, forget about YouPorn. I started studying YouTube.
Yeah.
And especially I was studying the path that moved user from Google to YouTube. And what I started noticing is, beside any kind of, what really stand out was the searches regarding keywords like action movie, thriller movie, romantic comedy movie, or just full movie. Now, think about this. If I tell you that
people aren't getting just trailers and clips.
No.
They want to watch the full movie. Yeah.
But
especially worldwide. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but there is a funny thing. If I tell you, in Europe, there were, in a specific month, 100 million searches about the Matrix full movie streaming online.
Yeah.
Now, what your brain tells you? That they're looking for an illegal website, right? Perfect. So I can understand those searches. What I really didn't understand were full movie, action movie. I mean, what the hell you expect from that?
Yeah.
It's
going to bring up some random stuff, but yeah.
Very random. Now, I studied the path, and the people were still going to illegal website. Okay. So I came up with a very simple concept. When you search something on Google, Google suggests you a YouTube video because they want to sell you video ads. Okay. Very few have known is putting movies on YouTube. So if I start putting movies on YouTube, maybe I can make some money. So I speak with my wife, tell the story. She was adamant. You don't understand anything about movies. How can you do that?
And you say, I don't have to.
I have to. It's like potatoes.
Yeah, yeah.
We know people want potatoes. We give them potatoes.
Yeah.
So we moved here, and we started this adventure. Which, and I remember at the time. Now, if you look at LinkedIn today, it's all YouTube will solve all your problems. All your problems will go away. But I remember when I started years ago, people were saying, "Oh no, YouTube is the cat video." Saying, "No,
Yeah.
it's the biggest AVOD platform in the world." And so we grew, started working with many partners, and at a certain point, I start to understand that there are very good distributors out there. We gotta admit that, but also there are very shady ones. So a lot of filmmakers come to me saying, "Oh, we're not happy with our distribution. We're happy with this. Can you open your distribution platform?" And open.
Yeah. I mean, that just happened with The Haunting of Hollywood, the
Yeah.
film we just brought on recently. They had a October 31st release date. They found out October 30th from their distributor, oh, hey, you were supposed to go on Amazon Prime tomorrow. And I know you've been working for the last couple months building up a marketing plan and reaching out to influencers and all this stuff, movie reviewers and all this stuff. But tomorrow your film's not going live. They found out a day before.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
it didn't. And then I met her a month later, and then I gave her an opportunity with Momi too. But it's insane.
That happen every time.
Yeah.
So I didn't know nothing about distribution. What I knew was how to solve the problems that the filmmakers had. So we built this platform that allowed filmmakers to see where where their movie has been pitched, how much money they're making. Trying to make it as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
Then I started having relationship with platforms, but what I really understand is that they do not talk with you unless you have a library.
Mm-hmm.
And I use what I know how to use, which are data. Now, my data tells me that 90% of the movies today are produced between $0 and $100,000. But Hollywood doesn't look at that. They don't care about that. That puts young filmmaker in the position of needing to ask their friends, their mom, their dad,
Taking out a loan.
taking out a loan, So I said, maybe there is an opportunity over there.
Yeah.
And so I came up with this crazy idea of producing. They were supposed to be 100. We did 250,
Crazy.
but with a very specific angle to it, which is, I know you, I don't like movies.
I know you've told me, and I was on a panel with you at the American Film Convention, and when you brought that up, and you hadn't said anything to me about that yet, but there was a filmmaker in the audience, and he said, "Well, you make all these films. How do you decide which ones are for what?" And you say, "I don't watch my movies."
Yeah, never. I mean,
And I was like, and you're sitting. I was like, "What did he just say? He doesn't watch his movies." But there's a reason for it, because you're a data guy. You're not a movie guy.
There are two reasons. Okay. The first one will make you laugh. When I first started this, I did a documentary that features Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
It was done for Sergio Corbucci. They convinced me to do that. We went to Netflix. Ask me how much money we made.
What was it made for?
$400K.
How much did you make?
0.
Really? I was gonna think of probably get like $100,000 deal for it, at least to be signed initially for Netflix.
Oh,
but-
okay. So I made zero. Yeah. Okay. I made zero profit.
Zero profit,
I
yeah.
lost 200,000.
Wow.
Okay. And now people come to me and say, you gotta be a producer, you gotta be known. But this city looks like a bubble. I mean, the only producer that people know worldwide is not actually known because of he's a producer.
Yeah.
I mean, not mentioning him, we all know what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I thought maybe I need to take the ego away. And I don't like movies, so it doesn't either tickle my ego. So the point is is try to understand through data what are the problems that filmmakers have. The first problem is money.
Yeah.
$30,000.
It's the one thing they need to make the money,
Exactly.
of course.
But you see Hollywood speak about 3 million, 5 million, 100 million, 200 million. Okay.
And you don't need that.
But $40,000 makes a huge difference for a guy which lives in the center of America, which parents worked hard all their life. And now they have these kids that it's an artist, which is a blessing. But as a parent, you also know that it's a difficult road.
Mm-hmm.
$40,000 may be all the money that you saved in your life.
It could be.
It's a huge risk. So, okay, first we solve that problem. Now, what is the second problem? Second problem is explaining to the filmmaker that the movie that they want to make and they want to see, they got to keep it in the closet for when they become bigger.
That's their passion project. Yeah.
Yes. I understand passion, but you got to be smart. So we provide them data. We tell them what people want to watch.
Mm-hmm. What's being searched.
What's being searched. So, it was funny. It has been 2 years that I was saying, we got to do Westerns. We got to do Westerns. Because my data said we got to do Western, but then it's not Western, it's about spaghetti Western, because that's what people search for Western, but they actually choose spaghetti Western. And within spaghetti Western, they watch much longer if there is a badass woman as a main character. So, friend of mine, we made this amazing Western for $10,000, made 45 million streams.
Wow.
So the second thing is data.
Yep.
Telling to kids what people want to watch. And third, I think it's the most important thing, it's not judging them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where producer make the mistake.
Letting them do
whatever they want.
Yeah.
Because we're partners, I give you money, I give you data, but it's your job to make the best you can in a way that you believe will work. And if I end up telling you what to do, what to do, yes, I suggest you what genres, how.
Yeah, you can give them a roadmap of saying, this is what's going to work, this is the type of story.
Exactly. But if then I tell you how to do it, my idea is that I will be naturally moved by my own taste. Mm-hmm. And I don't want it. And I want to reward filmmakers based on the result. Not on I like movies. When I say don't like movies, I mean I don't like you like. Mm-hmm. The best example is this. If we go to watch Kill Bill together at the theater, we go out and you start talking to me for 3 hours about the reference to this, to that. And I want to kill myself because the only thing I want to do is buying a fucking katana gigantic and go open a watermelon.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I didn't like it.
Yeah, you just get inspired in a different way.
Yeah, I just got entertained. You got
and by the way, I'm not a cinephile type, so but I get it. I totally get what you're saying. Telling me about the director and the previous movies that he's done, and getting deep into that, and the reason why in this scene they chose to do this because it's a reference to a film they did 30 years ago, and I totally get that.
It's not me. I can do that with music. I'm a music fan. I can speak about music for hours. Not with movies. So that's what I mean when I say I don't like movies. I don't like all the people in the city. So basically, when movies goes out, I need to reward filmmaker. How do you reward them? Not only by giving the money, by giving a backhand, by giving transparency, but also to give them their second, third, fourth features with me. And it needs to be done based on data. I have movies that have been seen millions of times that I tried to watch. I couldn't because they were not my taste.
Yeah, it's not for you. But did they perform?
They performed.
That's all that matters.
So the guys got other 2, 3, 4 movies from me. Mm-hmm. And there are people that their movies didn't perform, which I loved. Okay? I must admit, a couple of them I gave them a second movie because I loved it.
Yeah. Or you like them, right?
Yes, there is also the personal relationship, because there is another thing. Somebody may not perform, but the reality is performing in the world today of entertainment is not necessarily related to the movies. It's related to a series of factors. I give you an example. We make a shark movie, okay? Mm-hmm. We go out and the platform decide that they're going to start making carousel about shark movies. Now, the movie ends up everywhere because of the algorithms. And now you get $100,000, $200,000. Perform, you make the second movie. It's not that lucky. The movie, maybe the second one, it's even better. Doesn't make anything. So I also like to give rewards to people that I like to work with because they will grow.
Yeah, and it's important to do that.
Yeah.
It's important to do that because you're going to see the growth and development of each filmmaker as they make another one and another one. And now, if you don't see growth from the first to the second, then it's like, okay, maybe the third one doesn't happen. But again, it's giving that opportunity. And I appreciate that about you. Before we get into that next step, because I know there's a next phase to what you're doing, and I want to talk about that. I want to step back a second and more so get into why you got into data. So like what kind of a kid were you in a sense? Like what made you fascinated to get into the data world? Because I think that's a really key piece that I don't know if people know, and I don't know that about you either. I've never been able to ask you.
To be honest, the truth is easier and than what you can think. I was lucky. I grew up in a healthy, wealthy family. My father was more in the political world. I didn't like it. Never liked it. I always liked technology. So I failed a lot of times trying to open different companies until I found the sweet spot in the data world, especially in telecommunications. That happened. So it's not about my passion on data. My passion on data came up after I started that business for telcos. I felt in love with data. I understand, data are something that if you need to be able to understand them. You don't learn it.
Yeah, you need to understand the language of it.
Yes, for me, data it's a natural language. Now it comes to me. I can in my YouTube channels, I can just give a look every day to the channels, and I can tell you where the data are going. Then, of course, I need to study to download, but I feel them.
Data to you is almost like I saw this show recently, the Prime Target, and it's about this guy who understands prime numbers, and you see it.
I love it,
and it's so good. And but understanding the prime numbers and how the math works, and just every time he's in a room or a conversation, his mind is always working around math.
Funny that you mention it, because we were watching it with my wife. My wife was falling asleep. So, what do you like this? I said, the only movies and series that I love are related to math.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Completely. There was another one, a series a few years ago, a TV series about this policeman who got his brother who was a genius in number and helped me solve the case. Loved it.
Yeah.
I could have watched hours and hours and hours. So I love data. I understand them. But moreover, I'm able to see the bullshit that there is in the city about data.
Yeah.
People talk about data. They don't understand them. Zero. The biggest mistake that I see is people say, oh, my data, but nobody tell me what are the source of your data. Because data per se are zero value. Data are valuable as much as the source is valuable. So give me an example. When I started in this business, I saw a lot of people leveraging on theatrical data. To me, there is nothing more wrong than that. And let me explain you why. So, the perfect source of data is untapped by human decisions. Okay? So, it comes from a cluster of people that do action without any interference. Think about for a movie to end up to the theaters, how many human decisions there are. A lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to even think about how many that would be, but there's countless. I mean,
now follow
so many
me.
layers.
Let's speak about the biggest success in Hollywood in the last 20 years. Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activities, boom, reached $100 million, $200 million. Then what happened? We have 10 years of Blair Witch Project in Kansas City, Blair Witch Project in New York, Blair Witch Project in Thailand, Blair Witch Project in Rome eating a plate of pasta. Then we have paranormal activities, paranormal bathroom, paranormal living room, paranormal car. Hollywood takes a success and squeeze the IP for years.
Yeah.
So my question is, so if you see at the curve, paranormal activity is here, Hollywood takes all the second part of the curve. I believe that there are datas in YouTube that will tell us where the next curve is.
And you'll be able to tell us before I will be able to tell you. That's for sure.
I want to get that data, and I want to help filmmakers to understand. I mean, of course, not all data is a guarantee that it will go to the top, but if you need to make a bet, so I'll give you an example.
I love your examples, by the way. I had a tickle in my throat when you said Rome eating pizza or pasta, and I almost laughed, but I tried to hold my laugh in because I literally was going to start coughing.
But that's the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Hollywood is doing wrong. It's, you find something that happens also in music. A new star comes, boom, everybody goes in that style. But the fact is, if we need to use some weapons, it has to be weapons that Hollywood doesn't use. I can't compete with Hollywood that see a trend and make it.
Yeah.
It's better to compete before trying.
Yeah.
So I'm not
trying to find a new trend to create your own.
Exactly. So let me give you some example of data. Okay. We have romantic comedies on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. So searches that brings romantic comedies to be watched are the one you expect: love movie, romantic movie, rom-com movie, etc. The last 6 months, I started noticing some differences. And one of the main things that I saw was the reduction from 38 minutes to 17, 18 minutes on average view time. For you, you have a platform, you know that that's a hell of a change. It's not a small one on average.
No, it's huge.
It's huge.
Even if you could just increase it by a minute, it's a massive difference.
Okay, so I started looking into it. And I see that when views comes from romantic movie, love movie, average is that. But there is a new set of search, LGBTQ movies, queer movies, where people are not going anymore to certain genres, but they're moving to romantic comedies. But their average view time is shorter. So I called a friend and I said, can we have some LGBTQ romantic comedy? He said, why? I said, because I have a feeling that there is a community that is looking for lighter content, but within, their cultural,
their community.
Another search that we're going to speak about Day Off later, right? And Day Off was born by a data, where I saw people searching for 90s martial art action movie, 90s Steven Seagal movies. So if you come to me and you say, and that's super funny, Warner started to release full movies on YouTube recently. Yeah? There are movies with Tom Hanks that made 10,000 views. Then I come up with a Steven Seagal movie, makes 5 million views. There are signal where the 90s action fight movie are coming back.
Yeah, people love the nostalgia.
Yeah. And another thing that is coming back that I tell you, 100%, you will see in the next year and a half. Do you remember those movie like Scary Movie? For years, they made like every year 5.
Yeah, there's been multiple. It's a whole franchise.
Look what will happen in the next year and a half. They will come back. I see a surge. And when I say surge, on keywords related to funny horror, comedy horror, a surge.
Yeah.
Like,
we're seeing a surge of even just like those franchises coming back too, which is like 28 days later, coming on 20 years later. So it's like we're seeing that kind of resurgence of the nostalgia films coming back. But I see what you're saying as far as you're talking about actually comedy horror, like
comedy horror, like let's say Scary Movie. You will see that they will come back.
Yeah, I mean, things are always cyclical, but I see that trend coming too. I already see it happening, and if your data suggests it, then I know it's for sure going to happen.
But, well, there are a lot of elements and things that needs to happen, but still, it's a good starting point. You know?
Yeah, definitely. So take us to the next step. You're we're kind of a little over time, but I just want to make sure we touch on this, because if there's any filmmakers listening, I want to make sure they hear this. You're launching a new program.
Yeah.
There's a little AI into it, but not in the way that people, if they hear AI, and this is a touchy subject for filmmakers, when they hear AI, it's something that has a negative connotation at this point. You're utilizing AI in a different way to help them.
Yeah.
So what are you bringing up?
So I don't want to enter in the field of AI for movies. I leave this to the filmmakers.
Yeah.
If they want to use it, if it helps them, their decision. I'm not pro, I'm not against. It's their decision, you know? But I think AI would help in cutting to zero the process for them to pitch a movie to me. So basically we have our Insurgent platform, which is now it's closed only to filmmakers that works with us. We're going to open the next 3 months. Basically, filmmaker will be able to sign up to our platform, send a plot, and they will get an immediate feedback over the possibility for us to produce that movie. So AI will be used to study the plot, study our data, came back with a score system about the plot, the genre, and the international appeal. On top, they will receive suggested modifications, suggested titles, and why we suggest that, the AI that has been built based on our data, suggested posters, and based on the amount of information that they give, our answer will be, better, because if you send me a plot, if you send me the 3 acts with all the information, and
you're going to present them with a budget as well.
yes, with a pre-approved budget.
Wow.
So AI is used for trying to solve something that filmmaker see as a problem, which is going around knocking at every door, and they may not accept. I'm not saying that my offer will be perfect, but at least I give them a chance, because there is something I want filmmaker to stop doing. It's begging.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable.
We want filmmakers making films.
Exactly. Not begging for 40,000 grand.
Yeah.
It's especially today in this environment where we're becoming so much, we use so much content. We consume content in ways that never before. It should be a no-brainer to finance indie filmmaker. Because remember, like 20 years ago, there were fillers, but you have fillers for TV and you had 6 TV per country. How many filler did you need? Now you need fillers. And people are not looking at that.
Yeah. It's
So,
smart. But I just love that you're giving the filmmaker an opportunity. It also then, filmmakers need to understand that that's not just the end all be all. Let's just say you put all the information in and it says, okay, $25,000, that's what the budget is. Like, filmmakers need to understand that you don't just take that 25 and that's it. You could get creative in where are you shooting the film? Are there tax credits? Like, they can get really creative on extending that budget outside of the just, okay, this is the confines of here's my $25,000, that's it. Like, you could go shoot in Missouri and get a massive tax credit instead of filming here in LA or filming somewhere else, right? And I hope that, that's a conversation we're having in obviously California. Hopefully that California comes back and starts to incentivize filmmaking here again.
but let's see if they incentivize this kind of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because if they only incentivize the 100 million, 200 million, that's completely useless. I'm telling this story in Italy to a lot of friends over there. I'm trying to do this, but I say, you're giving out $700 million. Okay? And most of the movies that are financed in this way, they do not get distributed. So I told them, you give out $700 million. make a $10 million funds. Out of 700 million, it's 1.5%.
Yeah.
And you allow filmmakers to do a $50,000 movie.
Yeah.
Not only you will help the industry to keep working much more than $100 million movie, because now you have 300, 400 movies. So the people in the industry can work. Of course, they will be paid less. I know that.
Yeah.
But better not.
But it's better
work
to have something going on for 2 to 3 weeks versus
continuously than waiting for one deal to happen.
Or maybe they're just like, hey, I know I have a project lined up in 3 months.
In the
But
meantime,
nothing right now. Maybe I go and try to find something else to work on. So,
yeah, and remember, I'm not only giving the budget, but I'm also giving a back end of 50%.
yeah, you share the profits with
I share the profit.
Yeah.
So I mean, we need to reinvent the system. It's not healthy today. Movies do not make money. That's everybody speaking about it. Nobody's saying it loud, like it's a mystery. But we gotta say it. Because the first way to solve a problem is admitting that there is one.
Yeah.
You know? And filmmakers, you know, I can mention him, but he's one of my filmmakers. A movie that it's actually on Me Too. And I cannot mention because he asked me to. It's reserved, this news. But he made a first movie before meeting me. Nobody watched it. But then maybe his cat fought in a remote, click play. but he said that. Then he came to me, and it was so boring, the movie. You have no idea. I mean, beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Visually, you can see the talent. But he made this movie for himself.
Yeah.
Like his story, maybe he thought about it for 20 years. I don't know about it. So he came to me and he said, what do we do? Oh, yeah, let's make a thriller like this, like that.
Yeah.
And he went crazy. Very good. He made a good backhand. Then he did a second movie, went good. And I call him and I say, hey, are you going to make a movie for me, another one or no? He said, no, Nick, because I'm discussing, I got the fund for my first $10 million movie. Nothing made me so proud, more proud. Because now he said to me, I would have told you, the fact that I did some movies that proved, that made millions of views, was an arm that I never had.
Yeah.
So now I went to investors, said I made this movie, made 50 million stream. I made this, made 30 million stream. It was dubbed in 4 languages, which we know what does that mean. But for investor, wow, 4 dubbing, incredible.
And that doesn't provide just a calling card of a film and how good of a filmmaker he is. It provided him the missing piece of what you just talked about beforehand is data.
Data.
He had data to provide to potential investors.
Yes.
That's incredible. That's such a great success story.
And that's,
now I really want to know who that is, and I'll find out eventually. But
you will.
That's incredible.
And by the way, I will tell you. So
off the record.
Off the record.
No, that I really appreciate you sharing that, and I know we could honestly. I know you and I could talk forever because it just always happens, and we'll have you back again. If you could take a moment before we cut to the next segment, look into this camera right here. Let people know where they can find InsVrgence and how they, and especially filmmakers, how they can connect with you.
Okay, so you can find us on insvrgence.co. You can write to me, nick@insvrgence.co. I reserve at least 1 day a week to speak with filmmakers. You can find us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere. And we're more than happy to chat with you.
And InsVrgence is spelled how on your website?
INSURGENCE.
But on your hat, it has a V. So people don't get that.
Yeah, I know.
And that pays homage to the original
V channels.
V channels, which you can find your V movies and all the different channels.
All our YouTube channels.
On YouTube. So if you want to look for the YouTube channels, where do they go? V Movies?
V Movies. If you speak English, V Movies, you will see most of our originals. You can watch them on Me Too. If you want to see them in Spanish, you can go on V Español.
Yeah.
Portuguese, V Portuguese, and so on.
Yeah, because last year we did do a slate of 3 films to start off our relationship, which was Stupid Games, Bitter Tooth, and The Box. So if you're curious about those 3 films, head over to Me2 and check those 3 films. They're all incredible in all their different ways. So, and one of them, Stupid Games, is up for a Telly Award. So If the voting window's still open, go to the Telly Awards
And vote for Stupid
vote
Games.
for Stupid Games. Incredible film, which was our film that we talked about on episode 4 when we had Chasen Beecham, who I met at the Stupid Games premiere. So very cool. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Being a small business is difficult, and that's why each episode we've decided to promote a different small business that either we enjoy or our guest enjoys. And today, being that Niccolo loves Italian food, and being that he's Italian himself, we decided to choose an Italian retailer where you can find authentic Italian food, a company called Gustiamo. They're independent, they're disruptive, just like Niccolo, because they're very transparent about their prices, and they bring very quality food here to the States. So go check them out at gustiamo.com. Or if you want to follow along their journey, go check them out on Instagram. Their handle is @Gustiamo. And with that, I'm getting hungry, but let's get back to the pod.
Niccolo Messina, I have a question for you, sir. Would you like to play a fun little game we call This or That?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Well, This or That is brought to you by our friends over at Coastline Travel.
Okay.
So actually, if you're looking to go anywhere in the world, if you're going back to Italy, if you're going anywhere to meet any of your filmmakers or go on set, which you probably don't because you don't care about making the movies in the first place, go to coastlinetravel.com and they will take care of all your flights, your hotels, excursions, all the fun stuff. So I'm going to ask you a series of 20 questions.
Go.
Okay? The first question I ask to every single guest the same way. All the rest of the questions are tailored specifically more for your episode here.
Okay.
So the first question I always ask, tacos or pizza?
Pizza.
Pizza. All right.
What a question. Come on.
Maybe you just, you've been in
Don't
California.
give my number to a filmmaker that say taco.
Maybe you've been in California long enough. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
I like the sunrise, like in the morning. Although I don't think you sleep very much, so you're probably always up anyways. Every time I talk to you, you're always like, how are you, Nick?
Tired.
I am destroyed. My favorite quote. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
You have a dog?
Yeah.
What kind of dog do you have?
It's a bat from Wuhan.
It's a bat from Wuhan. Wow.
It's really ugly.
Yeah. Is he cute though? Like he or she, do they cuddle with you and all that
No,
stuff?
she's a bastard.
Just a complete terrible puppy. Organized or messy?
Completely messy.
Completely messy. Everything's all over the place.
Yeah.
Is your wife is the one that keeps
She's
everything
desperate.
clean?
The only place where I'm very organized,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only one is the folders of my Mac. When my wife saw that, she said, Why only here? No, I'm a mess.
Yeah. I'm the same way. So I have a beautiful wife that keeps us, everything is
I don't understand why she's still with me, but so I'll take it.
same. Pay for the subscription or endure the ads?
Ads.
Ads are where to go. Siri or Alexa?
Siri.
You like Siri?
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
This is
Alexa never listens. So
no, I don't talk with her.
Alexa's
I
terrible.
don't talk with Alexa.
Every time I say, Alexa, play this song, she's like, would you like to sign up for this subscription? But I'm like, no, I have Apple Music. I just have Alexa because I'm in the kitchen. So
No,
play
no,
the music.
no.
She never listens. Crunchy peanut butter or smooth peanut butter?
Nutella.
Nutella. No,
Sorry.
either way. Option C.
Sorry.
Option C. And you have to get Nutella from Italy because the Nutella here is not good. It is so different. I'm not sure if you know this. I'm sure you do. But the Nutella that I get in Little Italy in San Diego
It's
is
amazing.
from Italy. But the Nutella you get at Ralph's is terrible. It's like,
I'm sorry for my C answer. I can't give you.
I'm totally fine with that answer,
Can I
honestly.
tell you something?
Yeah, of course.
I tried peanut butter only once.
Really?
Yeah.
Only Nutella.
No,
That's
because
your
I'm I'm an extremist.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody touched the Nutella.
I love it. All about the hazelnuts. More money or more time?
More time.
I think as we both
I don't care about money.
as we both get older too.
No.
When I was younger, more money. But now
No.
it's like
No.
really important. Time with family. Time
No.
with filmmakers is really
No.
important.
No.
If you set a whole day aside for your filmmakers, that's really
Well,
important.
yeah,
that time is
that's-
important. Very important.
Because that is time where I learn.
Yeah.
They give me a lot of feedbacks. I understand them because they're really like what's Peter Pan, the kids that live in the how do you say in English? The Lost
yeah,
Boys. They look like the Lost Boys,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't feel like Peter Pan. I feel like I'm Captain Hook, and I'm saying, Lost Boys, come here.
I guess that makes Mike Shmee. Vacation or staycation?
Staycation.
Yeah, you like staying at home.
Yes, so much.
You have some pretty fun parties for your kids too, so I need to come by more often. Go to the beach or go to the mountains?
Beach.
Like the beach?
Yeah.
Did you grow up near the beach in?
No, this answer is because I'm married.
Yeah, yeah.
And my wife cannot stand in the mountain, so that means I can't stand in the mountain. She comes from the most beautiful beach place in the world, so
Happy wife.
yeah.
Cook or be cooked for?
Cook.
You love to cook.
Cook.
What's your favorite meal? What do you like to cook?
I have everything. I have pasta, pizza, but from scratch.
Yeah.
I don't buy lasagnas. I do lasagnas from zero.
I love it. And we had a really, really nice lunch one day. I hope to go back with you again.
Yes.
Photos or videos?
Videos.
Like the videos.
Mm-mm.
I think we got to really embrace those, but I do love a good old picture. I really do. Cash or card?
Card. I lose cash.
I'm with you on that.
I lose them.
If I have it, I spend it too. It's just terrible.
Yes.
But I always keep a small amount just in case.
No, but, good, because
Have to.
the place here, they ask me cash only.
Yeah.
So it's good that you have it, because I'm going to steal
For
them.
parking.
Yes.
Yeah. Good old Carlitos. Go to outer space or bottom of the ocean?
Outer space.
Yeah. What do you like about space?
I always had my heads up, so it's the place that it's more near.
Always looking, dreaming to the stars.
Yes.
All right. We got a fun one here. Chicken parm or lasagna?
Lasagna.
Yeah.
I don't know what chicken parm is, so you invented it.
Oh, is that an American thing?
Yeah.
Wow. I really actually wanted you to say lasagna anyways, because of the fact that the lasagna at Trattoria Trullo is, oh my goodness.
Yes. I remember that my wife knew I was on diet.
Yes.
So
You had a salad that day. But you had a couple bites of my lasagna. AC Milan or Inter Milan?
AC Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are they doing this year?
I don't want to talk about it without my lawyer.
Christian Pulisic.
I don't talk without my lawyer about football.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, my apologies.
And can you
I'm
hear?
a Manchester United fan, so
Can
trust
you
me.
can
My
you
team is
answer
doing
to my
worse, I
question?
promise.
Did you hear my answer? I do not talk about football.
Yes, not soccer, football.
Football.
Exactly. I call it football myself, so I was a football player. I say, what do you play? I play football. They're like, oh yeah, you look like a big guy. I said, no. I was a goalkeeper.
Me too.
They're like, that's not a position.
Me too.
Un portero.
Portiere,
I love
yes.
it. Better artist, Da Vinci or Michelangelo?
Da Vinci.
Yeah. What's your favorite about his work?
That he was the best at everything. He was not focused on one kind of art. And I love his obsessions with details. I am obsessed myself.
Yeah.
When I want to do something, I become so obsessed that I extraneate myself from the world. And if you see every single sketch of Leonardo, that tells you that how obsessed he was. And I love obsessed people.
Beautiful. If you can't tell, these last questions are all related to Italy.
Yeah.
Lamborghini or Ferrari?
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the catch there, the pull from there? Because I'm learning from the source there. Italian cars.
It's the excellence in Italy. It just Ferrari entered in the Italian heart because of Formula One.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So they become, when you were watching Formula One, you never had the Lamborghini. You had the Ferrari.
Yeah.
So it became the status. I mean, I would never buy them.
Yeah.
Because I'm at that age. I don't know if you know that when you enter in a car, my body automatically does, so I can't enter in a Ferrari anymore, but definitely Ferrari.
And I kind of already know the answer to this, maybe, but what pizza do you prefer? Roman pizza or Neapolitan?
Roman.
Yeah. I didn't know you're from Rome, so.
And it's very different.
It's
the
very
Roman,
different.
It's very thin.
Very thin, very crisp.
Very crispy.
Neapolitan soft, doughy.
So, yes,
It's way different. Roman pizza. It's got to
Roman
be crisp. It's got to have a crisp to it.
But can I tell you the truth?
Like the One Bite, the the One
American-
Bite app with
Yeah.
Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports, and he does all the pizza reviews and everything. The biggest thing, it has to have a crisp,
Yes.
has to have a crunch.
It has to stand.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can tell you that Americans do good pizza. You can find very nice pizzas here.
Oh, absolutely.
Very
A
nice.
lot of the really good pizzas though are found in New York.
Yeah, true.
And it's the same with bagels. It has a lot to do with the water and the dough,
Yeah.
and also what do you cook with? Because out here it's a lot of conveyor belts and it's just different.
Yeah.
You get a good wood fired pizza every now and then, but like over there they have the charcoal and
But you can eat
wood-fired
very
and
good.
different.
But still, you can eat very good pizza.
Absolutely. No, there's some really good pizza places, but if you go to learn from them, they are probably more than likely from New York.
Yeah.
If you get
True.
the pizza from there, they're not from here. And the last question, this is more of a business question for you. Over or under? You're going to make 200 films in 2025. Over or under?
Oh,
Are you going to make 200 films, more than 200 films?
more?
Or less than 200 films in this year?
I think I will go. There is an opportunity I can go higher, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, go.
My goal
Yeah.
is specific. How many days in a year? 365.
365.
My goal, I say, if I find the right partner,
Yeah.
I want to do the 365 movies in a year. I want to shine a light for one filmmaker per each day of the year.
That would be immaculate. That would be
Crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I tell you, you're crazy all the time. So
But at the very
goes
end,
well.
no, it's about giving back hope to filmmakers. They don't have it. They don't have trust in the industry. They don't have trust in the distribution. They don't have trust in anything, and they are right. Okay, so am I having issues in building my company? Yes. Are all movies going good? No. Did I have... So there are two things that will blow your mind, but blows my mind every day. When I finance a movie, I finance that up front. I don't wait for the movie to be finished.
yeah.
Okay? You know how many people stole my money? 0.
That's a good return.
Well, it tells you how important it is for them.
Yeah.
So the 3 people went over budget. One of 3,000, 1 5, 1 10. And the one of 10, it really everything bad that could happen happened to this guy. Everything.
Yeah. So you gave him a little grace.
Well, yeah. But the guy who lost 3, who went over by 3 and 5, they didn't tell me. I found it out.
Oh wow.
They didn't
They
tell.
paid for it themselves.
Yeah. And I said, why the hell are you doing that? We didn't want to tell you. I said, why? Well, so I covered that because, but nobody, someone came up with movies that were not good at all. It doesn't matter. They delivered.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. And that's why I don't understand why the industry don't see this as an opportunity to build IPs. Because all these people, let's discuss about this IP. What do you know about that? How you can take an IP, extrapolate a good story out of that IP, make a micro-budget movie, or even a decent 60, 80, 100,000. Go in the digital market, see the return, collect the data. Now you know if that movie, maybe Stupid Games, for example. Stupid Games is a perfect movie that can be done at a higher budget, anywhere between $300,000 and $1 million,
100%.
and have a wonderful theatrical release.
Yes.
And I can tell you right now who is going to watch it, if they're female, if they're male, how old they are, and I can tell you what's the average view time in Central America, what's the if Central America means Central US, or East Coast or West Coast. That's the magic.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, if you're making 365 films in the year, I'm guessing that you're going to be traveling around a little bit. And
No,
yes,
no.
And if you are, I'm telling you, and this leads just right back into the fact that when you're doing that travel, you're going to use coastlinetravel.com
Oh, yes, you're right.
to book your travel. So don't tell me I'm wrong.
We're going to make the filmmaker flights.
Thank you, Coastline, for bringing that part of the episode to everyone. Go to coastlinetravel.com for all of your travel needs. And with that, we'll be right back.
Promoting your podcast is hard, and that's why each episode we've decided to promote a different podcast that either we enjoy or a guest enjoys. In this episode, we decided to choose the Indie Film Podcast. And this is two guys that talk about their experience in making independent film. They actually recently had an episode about how to make a film for under $10,000 and all the mistakes that they made doing it. This actually fits really well with today's episode with Niccolo because InsVrgence makes low-budget independent films, and they do it really well. So go check out the Indie Film Podcast. It's definitely worth your time. And with that, we'll see you in the pod.
All right. Well, Niccolo, I gave you a task, and I do this to every single one of my guests, is to go on to Momi2, look for a film. We both watch it, and then we come and talk about it. But I know that you're an asshole, and you don't watch your movies. But you have so many movies, and I think they're incredible, that are on Momi2, like Stupid Games, like Bittertooth, like The Box, and like many others that we have on the platform. I wanted to choose one specifically for you because I had to kind of lead the horse to water this time in order to watch the film. And I chose Day Off. Day Off is a film that was made in Italy. And it is a film that we've already talked about in the previous segment. It is an incredible film for what they were able to do. But I want to learn a few more things about it that maybe some are not going to know. And I don't know these answers either because you can't just search your movies online and find all the information on IMDb. It's not there because they're small budget and they're they have to be very meticulous about how they make their film. But you don't share all your data either. With the filmmakers you do, but not with the world. No. So we have director Luca Boni
and Marco Ristori.
Marco Ristori.
Yeah.
All right.
They're incredible guys.
How did you meet them?
So I have a friend here. When I start saying, I would like to start making these movies, this friend told me, oh, you got to meet Marco. I said, okay. And they used to work with this producer called Uwe Boll, which, he made a lot of movies, the past, a lot of TV movies. He also recently produced a new movie. And he made these movies with this team. Zombie movies, World War II zombie stuff, action. But the guys were not working anymore. So we have this crazy call, December of last year. Crazy. And they introduced me to Marco. And if you ever speak to Marco, you will laugh. Because I go, listen, I don't like movies. I don't want to hear anything. I'll give you some data. And you start producing them. Can you do that? And he literally asked me, are you crazy? And I go, no. He said, Niccolo, we have been in the industry for the last 6 years, doing nothing. Now you're telling me that you want to start doing movies like this and you don't want to watch them, you don't care, you don't want to read the script. I said, no, I don't care. The next day I sent them the money and he called me back. He said, are you mentally
stable?
Yeah. I said, no, I'm completely not. We ended up doing 15 movies together in the last 16 months.
Wow. That's
now,
incredible.
we're talking about Day Off, right?
Yeah.
We already did Day Off 2, and now they're shooting today Day Off 3.
Wow.
And we have other 6 movies planned for the year.
And what were so for Day Off 1, what was the budget for this film?
25.
And
it's incredible.
And year or not year to date, but up to date, how many times has it been streamed, roughly?
In the last 60 days, because it went out 60 days ago.
The original, Day Off 1, yeah. How many times has it been streamed so far?
35 million.
35 million.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And roughly, profit-wise, roughly, what have you?
Doubled.
That's incredible.
No. There's not too much money out there.
That's the CPMs are super low, and you released a film in Q1, which, if people understand the advertising world,
December.
Yeah, but for whatever reason though, it's still December. At the end of December,
Yeah.
it drops off.
Yeah.
It just goes. Pew. So
There are no millions here. We gotta say loud.
No.
There are no millions.
Millions of streams, but that doesn't entail millions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's a long term, and especially when films are playing around the world, those CPMs are a lot smaller. Yeah, the profit
Mine
margin
is a long shot. When
Yeah.
new platform will come out in other countries,
Mm-hmm.
when we'll start dubbing. One of the best stories about Day Off is that it's been dubbed with AI in Portuguese and Spanish.
Yeah,
And in Portuguese, it made like 5 million stream, 6
Mm-hmm.
million stream, and nobody commented. By the way, this number are YouTube only.
Yeah.
I still don't have data.
just your platform.
Just my platform. So it may be easy to go to the
You'll have your Momi 2 data soon.
I know from other platforms in South America, there are places where it made either 5 or 6 million. So we may be already at the 50 million marks on views on streams. Nobody questioned or commented about, oh, this movie has been dubbed with AI. No one. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm. And I could see there was a few scenes where I could tell,
Yeah.
but most of the movie you couldn't tell.
No.
No.
But did you see the cloning of the voice of
Yeah.
John Gordon?
Mm-hmm.
In Portuguese, it's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. No, but to be able to do that, and I was going to talk about the AI dubbing in a little bit, but we can talk about it now. I mean, what you've been able to find and utilize is transitioning it to different languages, and people can't tell. They really, I mean, or if they can, it's not so apparent.
It really depends on the way you watch to this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are certain cultures like Italian, French, Spanish, where dub is an art.
Yeah.
An art. So when we tried Italian, we got so much insults. I have no idea much. But the reality is, do I care? No. Let me tell you why. I will always make people unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I mean, they're unhappy when you spend $200 million for a movie.
Yeah.
You know, look at Snow White. Or
Yeah. It's a great example.
You know, you spend 300 million and you have people complaining. So I learned one thing: I don't give a.
Yeah, you're always going to get the keyboard warriors, regardless of whatever you do. Doesn't matter if it's something good, something bad. It's always going to be someone saying something.
I have a mission: is give an opportunity to filmmaker and free entertainment.
Yeah.
And my consumers, my main consumers, are people for which $10 make a difference between putting food on the table of their kids.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves entertainment. And by the way, I didn't invent it. The Romans did. The emperor said people needs food and entertainment.
Yeah.
So even in Italy, we had like 1,000 bad comments, but then we had 100,000 views. So my mind goes, okay, 99,000 people didn't need to complain.
Yeah.
Fine.
And that many people still watched your film, so it worked out.
In fact, I think that I say to my filmmakers, never read reviews. Never. Reviews are made by people that have a lot of problems going on, and they need to, push that rage on someone else, or by critics that are filmmakers that didn't make it and decided to.
Well, you asked me about this, and you're like, are you sure you want to have me on your podcast? And I said, of course. And he said, well, you do a movie review. And I said, yeah, but it's different. We're not critics.
Exactly. No.
We're here to build up the underserved filmmaker, the person that's not being seen enough. But I also want these reviews to be from people that are just normal people. Like, you're not a cinephile, you're not a movie critic.
But I want them to judge. So I give you an example. If I bring you some food, okay, and I tell you, oh, it's free, I made it for you, you will judge it in a specific way. If I bring you to a restaurant and they ask you $1,000, you're not going to judge the same plate the same way.
Of course.
There's a difference. While in entertainment, people seems to be judging any content at the same way. You can't. They got Danny Abraham from Stupid Game. Somebody who does a bad review to that movie, it's an idiot.
Yeah.
because they spent $6,500. Most of the people cannot build a bed with $6,000. These guys came out with a movie. Now, you may say, I don't like it. Of course you can.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's fair. It's your personal opinion. It's fine. But a bad review, no. Because what they did was incredible.
Yeah.
The problem is people like to judge because they may. So if we speak about our review, like how you did it, where day off.
Yeah.
Okay? I was seeing a lot of time, got amazing reviews on YouTube. Have people say better than Netflix. Makes me laugh. But you may not like it. It's just an entertainment, funny, action, 90s style movies. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's many films. We had Jeff Clark on recently. We moved this film from Hungary called Action. It was silly, but it was entertaining,
Exactly.
right? And this film, I would say, Day Off is for me is something that I more than likely, I don't know if I would have picked myself, but I'm glad that I watched it, and it brings back these like nostalgic feelings of 90s action films. And so I literally, when I was watching and I was like, this is like you take new age Italian filmmakers and tell them, here's a low budget and go make a 90s action film for me now. That's literally the vibe I got from
And
it.
they had fun.
I could tell.
They had fun.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. So I told you about the documentary we made, Django and Django. It's about Sergio Corbucci.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody look at the documentary and say, oh, it's beautiful. But there is something that stuck with me. Now, there is a moment where one of the actors tell the story about how they were filming Western. Okay? And he was saying that, me and Sergio, we woke up, how many we killed today? And they were like, 20. No, let's make 30. Oh, can I kill them with the machine gun? Now, they were having fun.
Yeah.
They were not taking themselves seriously. Filmmakers takes themselves so seriously. These guys in Italy, they have fun.
I do feel, I wish, the only thing that I could critique it from, I wish they had more of like an American writer to bring out certain comedic points.
I agree.
Because I feel like they could have added some comedy into it, and it would have brought a little bit more out of the main character is John Gordon.
John Gordon.
And I feel like because he you can tell he's Italian, right? He's a Seagal. You can tell he's Italian, but he has an American accent.
Yes.
And there's moments where he loses the American accent. So I almost wish there was more comedy. I feel like it would have taken the film one more level up.
So you're completely right. And thank you. We already noticed that. Remember, we are completely disorganized. You're completely right about Day Off. But those are details to make it better. We're working on it. So one of the things that I understand that I didn't see at the beginning, because I'm not a movie expert, is how important screenwriting is.
Oh, of course.
So,
Yeah.
but I cannot pretend at that budget to also judge the screenwriting. So I came up with an idea. And I'm studying a way to provide the filmmaker some screenwriting support with humans and with AI, both.
Let's get a little closer there. Sorry.
So you're right. We need to provide to them support. And Day Off now, we already shot Day Off 2. We had screenwriters coming on board to help us.
Wonderful.
We did the same today. We're shooting Day Off 3. Still, we didn't release Day Off 2, but
Yeah.
we know it's going to work. So, yes, I agree. There are a lot of things, but remember, they made it with 25K. They pull out an incredible movie for that budget.
Absolutely. And if it gets seen and it makes that budget money back, then from a business side, it's also important. And especially since you're sharing 50% of the profits with the filmmaker, it's also very important. So
Also because
getting very creative with your budgets is not just going to play a factor for yourself to get back your investment. You also know that the smaller the budget and the more creative they are with making that film, the more money that filmmaker is also going to see.
Because there is something that I keep saying everywhere. You take a movie that costs $25,000 and $150,000. In today's market, you have 99% of a chance that those movies will make the same amount of money. Exactly the same. Okay? And you have even chances where the 150 will make much less money than the 25. So My concept has nothing to do with the quality or the stuff. I leave that to the filmmaker. It's about data. So I could speak to a filmmaker and say, if I give you 100,000 and you and your crew make 4 movies, you have actually the possibility to make 4 times more money than if you make $100,000 one. Then there is another problem because people come to me and say, "Oh, with 100,000, but people are get paid more." If you go and read the budget, what you understand, they're actually keep putting money not in their pocket. They're just doing something better. Funny enough, people, if you give them 100,000 or 25, then the difference is not going in their pocket. They're not making people more. They're just doing some extra fancy stuff that do not change in any way the economical output.
From a back end standpoint.
Yes.
What the film's going to
if they
make.
make 4 movies for 25, no, they actually make 4 times more money. And this is the only reason behind that. If tomorrow $100,000 movie makes 4 times more money than the 25, I would tell you, let's do the 100,000.
Yeah.
My sweet spot is not because I like to spend this, because I made 250. I could have made 50 for 100,000. Doesn't make any difference. The problem is that the numbers don't apply.
It's the numbers as a whole. And that's probably a difficult conversation to have with the filmmaker because the filmmaker doesn't see the whole picture of 100 films. They see it as one individual film. And that's all that they see. So the fact that you're able to show them the data from, hey, these are all the films that we've done. This is what the average is, every now and then you're going to run into a, James Colin Bresic who makes a specific film and then it's streaming at #1 forever. And it's like, how did this little indie film with,
happen? Yeah.
that Jean-Claude Van Damme and, how did it randomly just go off and take off like that? It was told that it would never do it, right? You're going to have those moments, those stories that do happen. But from an overall average of what typically happens is what you share.
And that's what we want. We don't want to tell the big story.
Yeah.
I don't because if I start saying, oh, there is one that pop up, I'm playing the same game.
Yeah.
The reality is I have a very big platform.
Yeah.
That I sent to them. I did a test. I sent to them 2 romantic comedy. And I say, what do you think? Is there any license opportunity, no revenue share? And they said, oh, no, we love these 2 movies. They're perfect for our revenue share. Funny enough, one, it's a romantic comedy that I produce for $20,000. The other is a romantic comedy that someone else produced for $750,000.
Wow.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I just said, I gave a little bit more push on the second one, say, this done better, blah, blah. But the answer was, yeah, let's get them both for revenue share. Now, what does that mean? They're going to make the same amount of money.
Potentially, yeah, or nearly the same, right? Yeah, they're not going to...
Yeah, but the risk is much more on the
Of course.
And then I tell you, there is no way a movie will make $750,000 enabled platform.
Yeah. No, it takes a very strategic a very strategic release strategy for...
On one platform?
No. You never make it on one platform.
No,
I'm just
zero.
saying, in order to make that back, it's not going to be something, especially if you don't have the marketing budget to build into it. So, or you don't have a specific name, right? You
Yeah,
have a
but the
name attached to
marketing
it.
has to apply to the TVOD.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the Amazon when you sell it. But
Yeah.
on AVOD. So you want to rely on that to then,
Yeah, but outside of that, it's going to take multiple platforms. It's going to take multiple windows of opportunity. It's going to take dubbing it potentially in different languages and all that stuff. So it's going to take it's a big effort. So I think what you're doing is smart. I really appreciate what you're doing for the filmmaker, and I'm a big fan of what you're doing because we also see the how that works on Momi too and how it translates to what we're doing as well. So huge fans of it, and a lot of your filmmakers have come and messaged us and said, we love your platform. We love that you're giving us a voice. So it's like, I think it's coming full circle. It's finally doing so because we've been working together now for about a year, literally a year as of.
In fact, I have a present
in
for
March.
you.
You do?
Yes.
I love it. I love presents.
I have 2 or 3 movies that will happily premiere exclusively on Momi.
Hey, I love that.
Yes, I have that.
Oh man, I can't wait to talk more about that.
Yeah.
And we'll have you back again, and we can talk once those films come out. Yeah, we can switch out the popcorn for the pizza, or maybe the popcorn pizza seasoning. I don't know. We'll do something.
Pizza seasoning.
I don't know. Niccolo, it's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure.
Before we get out of here, I want to thank you again for being a sponsor again for the Momi 2 College Film Festival. You were a sponsor last year for the Producer's Pick.
And we got this year.
Now we have this year coming up. Couldn't be more thrilled that you're doing that again, championing young voices. And I look forward to what we can do with the next filmmaker that wins the Producer's Pick, and hopefully have that obviously premiere on Momi 2 as well. So
perfect. Can't wait.
Awesome, man. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for spending your time with us today on the More For Me and You podcast. If you've made it to the end, we appreciate you. Now, go do us a quick favor. Please like, comment, and share this episode. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode with the incredible guests we have coming up. You can also follow us at Momi2 Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. Oh, and for your next movie night, check out the Momi 2 app. It's free and packed with amazing movies and shows you've probably never seen. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the pod.